When I think platforming for the PlayStation 1, no game franchise pops into my mind quicker than Crash Bandicoot. The first game was great, but not without its kinks and faults. The second game was a huge improvement on the first one, where it was just as fun, but it fixed a lot of the problems, mainly control and glitch problems from the first one. And then the third was just as awesome as the second, but it just added on a lot more new content. The first three Crash Bandicoot games is a perfect example of how a franchise should evolve. This is a review of Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, one of my favorite platformers from my childhood. This game is absolutely awesome. It's a game that's really rich in terms of content. There's a ton of different levels, a huge variety of different enemies and bosses, and different play styles of gameplay. I mean, this game is not just running forward. Sometimes you're running away from something like a boulder, a la Indiana Jones. We've seen this done pretty good in a game like Pepsi Man, but Crash Bandicoot is the master of running from boulders. Probably just because of how airtight Crash Bandicoot's control scheme is. Like, you obviously can't see too far ahead of yourself, but because the controls are so responsive in this game, you can make the tightest jumps fairly easily. I mean, Crash Bandicoot is a perfect example of screwing up being 100% your own fault and not the game's. Aside from the traditional 3D running up or forward and running away from something, Crash can also run side to side. This is almost Crash's homage to its 2D predecessors, but while it does play like a 2D platforming game, these sections of the gameplay still stay 3D. These can be incorporated into regular gameplay or into special bonus stages. Crash also has a bunch of different ways to get around. Like, he's not just running. Sometimes he gets a mount, like a polar bear cub, and this makes you go really fast, and you can even run through enemies because of just how fast you're going and how big and powerful the little polar bear cub is. When there's something like a water level, you get these water vehicles that help you traverse the environments. These are a little tricky to control, especially when there are these black holes in the water that just try to suck you in. But if you've been playing Crash Bandicoot since childhood, you're more or less a master of it, like myself. Like, I never get stuck in these whirling traps of death. It's just not in my vocabulary anymore. Crash really is just a game that you can master, and you want to master it because of how varied and gorgeous the environments are and how fun the gameplay is. The challenge of Crash Bandicoot is right where I need it to be, in that intermediate range where it's both fun and challenging. Crash 2's difficulty is what difficulty all platforming games should strive for. There are also boss battles in Crash, and they take you out of the regular, high-paced, constant running gameplay. The boss fights in Crash Bandicoot 2 are more about timing and memorizing the boss's moves. It's a lot like Mega Man in that regard. Crash Bandicoot 2 is just one of the best platformers of all time. Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3 are probably my two top PlayStation 1 platformers. This is a great game, and I mean, I can't imagine someone that watches my videos hasn't played Crash, but if you haven't, I urge you to check it out. I mean, I don't know what you've been doing with your life, but you gotta get out there and try this game out. The only thing that's lacking in Crash Bandicoot 2 is the story. It's about collecting crystals, saving the world, things of that nature. I really don't pay attention. I try to skip the story in Crash Bandicoot 2 as much as I can. The story just doesn't matter here. It's much like Mario. This game is all about the really awesome gameplay. Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back gets an official stanburdman rating of a 9 out of 10. Also, a little announcement, the guys and I have made some new movie riffs recently. Most recently, we riffed on The Unholy, a scary movie where a priest fights the demons of hell, and at the end of the movie, the thing that was supposed to be the scariest part turns into just pure comedy, and me and the guys just collapse from laughter. It's a riff to check out, and yeah, go ahead and check that out if you're a fan of the old It Came From Public Domain show. Link is below in the description. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.